Welcome back to Sami Speaks. My name is Jeff Borschowa. I'm the co-host. And as always, we have my dear friend Sami Steigmann here as a host. And Sami is going to be talking to me today about the formation of Israel. Welcome back to the show, Sami.
Thank you.
So let's go back in history. And I recognize that you were still young at this time. So a lot of this is going to be the benefit of hindsight rather than recollection. But let's talk about post-war Europe and how the modern country of Israel came to be.
Well, the leader, Ben-Gurion, against the wishes of his cabinet, decided to declare the state of Israel. Obviously, the United States, former Soviet Union, other countries agreed to it. Now, what they have to understand that during the Balfour Declaration, the area, was supposed to be given to the Jews. However, when the state of Israel was declared in 1948, Israel got only 22% of the area promised. And then came, for instance, Jordan. And by the way, for people that do not know, until 1948, Jews lived there for centuries from the beginning. And if they had to travel, in their passport, it said Palestinian. So it was not Jewish or whatever, because that was Palestine. It was a name given by the Romans. Now, the interesting thing of the conflict is, call them Palestinians. There is no such nation. There was never existed one like that. But they were thrown out from Lebanon. They were thrown out from Jordan, from Syria, from Egypt. So the only one that decided, to help them were the Jews, the Israelis. And something that people do not know, do not understand, they had pogroms before the establishment of Israel and after that. So it was not, Israel did not exist. So the hatred that existed, they did not want the Jews there. But let's put it in a different way. During the 1948, a lot of the Arabs that lived there, today's so-called Palestinians, left. Partly because the 5 countries that attacked Israel upon its establishment told them, leave it because you are going to destroy Israel. We don't want it to be caught in the fire, and they left. A small group of people remained, but the majority left. And I would say between 500, 600,000 Arabs left. At the same time, with the establishment of the State of Israel, between 700 and 1 million left the Arab countries. So the interesting part is that, for instance, right now they're calling it genocide, whatever you want to call it. But interestingly enough, right now in Israel, there are about 2.5 million Palestinians. I call them Arabs, but they're Palestinians. After the 6-Day War, they have an area that is not yet determined who it belongs to, which is called Judea and Samaria. In Judea and Samaria, they have over 2 million people. And when they gave Gaza to them, and about 10,000 Israelis have been forcefully removed that was a gesture, okay, to see if we can live together.
Right.
Instead of building it together, okay, relationship, they used all the money that Israel gave them, water and everything else, okay, cement, to build the tunnels and to attack Israel. So, there are three factions of the Palestinians. The ones in Israel that they have equal rights. As a matter of fact, a Palestinian Supreme Court justice put in prison for 7 years a former president of Israel. Okay, uh, they have diplomats, they have ambassadors, everything else. Going to universities, they have equal rights. In Judea and Samaria, they have their own authority, the PA. Okay, uh, but unfortunately, they teach the young kids, okay, to kill Israelis, and at the same time, there is, somebody murders Israelis, depending how many Israelis he did, the family, okay, will get a lot of money, depending on the number of people killed. They can get up to, I believe, $25 or $3,500 a month. Okay, so it's pay for slay.
Wow.
So this is one of the things. So they have different things. They are the one in Gaza, Hamas. They have never accepted Israel as a state, as a country, and their goal, they have never renounced to it, is to destroy Israel. Okay. So this is in a nutshell, very briefly, to give the thing. But here it is. In Israel, they left about 500, 600,000. They are about close to 6 million around now. In all the Arab countries, they left between 700,000 and 1 million. Okay, today they're less than 4,000. Where is the genocide?
Right.
And if you can explain to me, to tell me, and everything else. At the same time, you probably have seen pictures from Gaza. They say that Israel is causing famine, but it's the UN. And if you look at them, when they open up the corridors for them to move, okay, and they show the pictures, you can see they're healthy. They're not, how was I saying, dying of starvation like the Jews and other people, other
Yeah.
groups. The Jews were not the only one, okay, that were starved to death. If you look, for instance, during the Nazi regime, the pictures are totally different.
Yep.
So,
It's a very different picture, and I
right.
think
So right now, what's happening? It's Israel is not very good in PR, and they're losing the PR war. They will never win it. So right now, you have a lot of people that have no idea what they're talking about, but they're demonstrating the media is with them, and it has been accepted that Israel commits genocide. But again, I'm going to say, okay, from 500, 6,000 Arabs that left Israel in 1948, today you have in the areas, Judea and Samaria, which is the disputed territory, nobody recognizes who it belongs to, and Gaza, and in Israel, you have 6 million. In all the Arab countries, you have less than 4,000. Where is the genocide?
yeah.
And
And
if you look in Gaza, for instance, in Israel, you have Christians, you have Arabs, you have different denominations. Everybody has equal rights. It was given to Gaza, not a single Jew. The Arab countries, okay, many countries, Egypt and other areas, not a single Jew there.
and I find it interesting, Sami, that you used the phrase PR, because I use the phrase when it comes to the Palestinian side, they have a deeply disturbing and highly impressive propaganda machine. I've only seen one other regime in history that had that much success with propaganda. And I find it fascinating that, you know, the Israeli army is literally called the Israeli Defense Forces. It's not the Israeli attack forces. And yet somehow the Israeli people are losing this PR battle, because it almost feels like they have this moral certainty that, you know, the world will recognize this is wrong and will accept it. But part of the reason you and I are talking is because clearly the world is being fooled by the propaganda machine.
Well, the one of the things is they are using distortions, they're using lies, but it's repeated so often that it becomes acceptable. The same thing what happened during the Nazi regime. And the Israelis, the Jews are not united. We have many organizations that fight for the same thing, but instead of speaking with one voice, they have many different groups, and the message is lost. And the media is complicit in what's happening today in this world.
And I think that's the first victim of war is always the truth. And that's why you and I are talking is, first of all, and, you know, I do know more recent history. I used to be a World War II buff, and unfortunately decades have come between me and that knowledge. But one of the things I see here on the news here on campuses is people talking, you know, you see these Free Palestine marches and protests. And I don't know about in the US, but in Canada, they've actually proven beyond a shadow of a doubt that almost every Palestinian related protest is funded by terrorist groups with ties to Hezbollah, Hamas, etc. And interestingly, and this part baffles me, these groups are actually illegal in Canada, yet somehow these protests continue.
Well, I do not believe in making comparisons with the past. Okay, we have to learn from the past, but the times were different, the attitudes were different. But to give an example, in the past, one of the things that happened is you have hate groups. When they start, they are very small, and this is also what happened in during World War II. Things did not happen suddenly. And as they pushed the envelope, okay, the world did not react in time appropriately. They gained power, okay, and that's how they pushed the envelope. And so here, for instance, there are no, when they do what they do, there are no consequences.
Yeah.
Okay, and so why would they stop? I mean, it's absolutely normal. If there are no consequences, if you're not arrested, if you're not sent back to the country you came from, why shouldn't they continue? It's the same thing like, for instance, you come and you say, intifada. Intifada is not against Israelis, it's against Jews. Global intifada, it's against Jews. When they say that to America, that to Israel,
Yeah.
okay, why would you be here? Okay, this is not freedom of speech. This is, in my opinion, it's incitement, hate speech. So, because there are no consequences, okay, why would anybody be surprised that they keep escalating?
Yeah. And I think that's the thing. There's no consequences. And unfortunately, it's at least when this started, you know, if we go back to October 7th, at least the media used to cover it and cover, you know, acknowledge there was two sides to it. Now it's become, I think the word I'm going to use is normalized. These protests aren't even making the news anymore.
Correct.
And it is fascinating, and I hope more people will do this. I have several friends who are Jewish, and they're very proud of their university days. They're proud alumnus, and this same universities that are spreading Jew hate, they're coming back and saying, how about those donor dollars you gave us last year? Can we put you down for the same? And they're genuinely shocked when people of Jewish descent say, I'm going to go put my money somewhere else. And I've had that conversation with a representative of my alumnus. I can't support a campus that lets hate speech go freely. Again, as you said, it's incitement. It's not free speech. It's not the right to peaceful assembly. It is pure and simple inciting hatred.
People don't even know. They called it Israel is an apartheid state. They don't even know what apartheid is. Yeah. I Googled the word out of curiosity. Okay. And believe it or not, I don't have the paper anymore, but it was a full page what the apartheid is. They don't even know what they're talking about.
Yep.
And they claim that Israel, okay, the Israelis are white. It's not true. Yeah. Maybe in the beginning, most of the people that came, came from Europe, especially from Poland. Okay. Yeah. But today, most of them, I would say the majority, more than half, are from the Middle East, from the Arab countries.
Yeah.
So that's why they use words and they have no idea what they're talking about.
Well, and I think that's you and I love that you're very, very precise with your words, because I think if we're not precise, things get normalized, things get missed. But there is an assumption, and this is the I'm going to say brilliance of the propaganda. If you can get past the assertment that Palestinian is in fact the name of the country where Israel is, and you say we need to free Palestine, you're building an argument based on a very flawed thing. It's a friend of mine did a very deep expose on the history of the land that is now occupied as Israel and exists as Israel, and nowhere in history was there a country or a military known as Palestinian. In fact, I think that sort of emerged in the 70s or 80s as propaganda for the Palestinian Liberation Army.
Well, like I told you before, and maybe it's worth repeating, I have seen many documents before the establishment of the State of Israel, okay, in the passport of the Jews, okay, if they had to travel overseas, it was written Palestinian. Yeah. Because that area was known as Palestine.
Now, but the thing is, it wasn't a specific, again, I think now people are referring strictly to the Arab population as Palestinian, when in fact that was the whole region at one point, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. And I think that's the magic of this propaganda campaign. It's a wonderful thing when you tell lies and you just have to keep repeating them. You never have to stop and prove that you aren't lying.
Well, that's the world we live in. Right is wrong and wrong is right.
And, it's fascinating. People come into my world and they want to debate Israel. I am very much pro-Zionist, and I'm also disturbed by the fact that there's an actual word for Israel's right to exist. No other country that I'm aware of has a noun that describes somebody who believes they should exist. You're American, I'm Canadian. Why does the word Zionist have to be used?
Well, Zionist in a simple sentence, okay, without going into, the whole dialogue.
Yeah.
It's basically that the Jews have the right to have their own country and to decide their own destiny, good, bad, or indifferent. Very simple.
Yeah.
Okay. And by the way, for people to know, the Holocaust did not create the state of Israel. Okay. And during the Holocaust, a lot of Jews died because they did not have a country. Today, okay, we mourn, okay, the people that died for us to have a country. So the other thing that people do not want to understand is that Israel is not only fighting for its own existence, but it's also fighting to save the world.
And I
Because,
think if
because
you don't mind,
because the jihadists are in the United States, they are in Canada, they are all over the world. Okay, so take a look what's happening in Europe. So things have gotten okay, out of hand, but I was always an optimist. I will die an optimist, and all I'm saying is things will get worse,
yeah.
but eventually it will get better because there will come a point that it said enough is enough.
Yeah.
So I
And
don't know when it happened. Probably not in my lifetime.
I hope and I pray, Sami, that it does happen in your lifetime. I'm also an optimist, but yeah, humanity is going to take its time getting to where it needs to be. Let's talk about the terrible possibility if Israel falls and the powers that be take over. This is not an Israel problem. What do you see as happening in the world? Let's talk about the jihadists, because I think that is the fundamental piece that most of the people I talk to, they're good people, but they don't understand the situation. They think, oh, that's an Israel problem, but really, truly, it's an us problem very soon, is it not?
Yes. Now the other thing that I'm saying is, unfortunately, people use slogans, and you cannot change anybody, but you can change somebody's perspective. To
Yeah.
be able to change somebody's perspective, you have to be knowledgeable on the subject of your interest. You cannot just talk, okay, and say, well, Israel is not an apartheid state. Doesn't mean anything. They don't want to hear that.
Yeah.
But what you have to do, you have to be knowledgeable. What is apartheid? One of the things, the way I deal with it is I agree with them. Can you imagine, the shock?
Yeah, it deflates
Right.
their argument, doesn't it?
Okay. But then I ask them, explain to me what is apartheid?
Yeah.
Where did you learn from it? And based on that person's answers, I have to make two decisions. Does that person have an open mind? Then I will continue the conversation if I am knowledgeable on that subject. If I find out that a person has a closed mind, okay, then very politely, without going into an argument, I will go and say, okay, let's agree to disagree and move on. Okay. I tell the young kids, what happens if you speak to a fool? They give me all kinds of answers. My answer is two fools will talk to each other. Okay. Nothing will happen. Okay.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, they use slogans without knowing what they're talking about. So I personally would not talk, as a Holocaust survivor, I would not talk to a Holocaust denier.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, I would not talk to you about, the neo-Nazis, because I am not knowledgeable on the subject. All right. So it's not my interest, whatever. And that's why I personally, do not go into a conversation with somebody that has a closed mind.
And I think that's a great perspective. My world is about my kids, and my youngest is grade 8, my oldest is grade 11. I'm concerned about what they're learning or not learning in school. So,
well, let's put it in differently. You are one of the best example how somebody under the proper guidance has been able to change his perspective. And the one thing that I'm saying is once somebody is indoctrinated, and they start right now, they started with campuses, they went to the high school, they succeeded, now they are in middle school. But once somebody is indoctrinated, it's extremely difficult, almost impossible, to bring them to reality. Okay, so we have to fight the hate groups, okay, when they are very small. Okay, if we don't react in time, they grow in power and strength, and it comes a point that sometimes it's even too late, like what's happening today.
so what can we as citizens, average people, and this is why I want to talk to you and bring you into my world. What are some simple things we can do to not?
Well, let me ask you a question. What is your subject of interest?
Well, I think for me, my main subject of interest is helping my kids understand the world that they're part of, but also it's about raising them. Um, for me personally, I'm not willing to accept a world where hatred is a given, and I think part of it is tearing apart some of the foundation that's being built around Jew hatred. But honestly, I want my kids to grow up and understand the power of love in general.
Well, how knowledgeable are you on the subject?
Well, I think, and again, this is part of the podcast episodes, is I want to become more knowledgeable on the impact of Jew hatred in the world, because I think.
But you have to understand, it's not Jew hatred. Okay, take a look what's happening in Bangladesh. Okay, they have against the Hindus, and I spoke on their behalf. Take a look what is happening in China. So, okay, you have to remember one thing: no Jews, no news.
Yeah.
I think I asked you before, but I'm going to ask you again. How many people were murdered in Sudan?
Honestly, I used to know that number, but it's escaped me.
Okay, 4 million. How many in Congo?
Again, I used to know that number, but
500,000.
yeah.
Okay, in the whole area of, if you take Hamas's numbers, okay, they killed 40,000. Keep in mind, half of them are combatants.
Yeah.
Okay, how come nobody talks about it? About Sudan, nobody talks about Congo, other areas that are poor and everything else. It's only okay in Middle East. So what I'm trying to say is, we have to remember: no Jews, no news. And that is part of the propaganda, and it has been accepted because it has been plugged in. The hate groups have not been dealt with properly in time, so they gained its strength, and right now they are winning the PR war, unfortunately.
Yeah, and unfortunately, they're doing very well at it. It fascinates me that the Western media has embraced it almost. When you start to see quotes directly from, Hamas sources, it gets disturbing quickly to me personally.
Okay, now let me ask you another question. You have heard, okay, of the BDS boycott Israel. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to boycott Israel, Okay, you cannot use the computers.
Yeah.
Okay. You cannot use. Okay, okay. There's so many things. Okay, that the Israelis invented, so you cannot use it.
Yeah.
Okay, so but that's what I'm saying. Is they're using words that appeals to the young people because they are not versed in life challenges,
Yeah.
and it appeals to them. It sounds glorious. It sounds good. Justice with okay, all the other BS.
Yeah.
But the point is, they have no idea what they're talking about.
Well,
Okay,
and it's fascinating because I play this game a lot with my kids. I don't know why. I'm strange, but I will do what would the world be like without Canada? And we had a TV series, A World Without Canada. I think that might have inspired it. But the reality is, and I think a lot of people miss this, but if we were to, if Hitler had succeeded and erased Jewish history, um, we'd be in the dark ages again. I mean, if you think about the Jewish contributions just to science, forget the arts, forget everything else. The one I think that amuses me the most is Levi Strauss invented the blue jean. How many people take away their blue jeans? They got nothing to wear. So um, it's a weird game to play, but I do like to think about, what are we saying we're opposed to here? Because again, you know, oversimplified, but if you take away Canada, for example, we had major contributions to diabetes in the form of insulin. Um, Now, that's not to say somebody else wouldn't have figured it out, but we got there first. Same with, blindly saying, "Oh, let's take away the Jewish contributions." One of my favorite scientists of all time is Albert Einstein.
we wouldn't be in space.
We wouldn't be in space. Now, we wouldn't have nuclear weapons, but well, somebody would still have nuclear weapons, but he got us there faster. But we also wouldn't have nuclear power. It is just one of those things. And I think that's what I'm getting at here is that we are an amazing tapestry. And when we all play nice together, humans are capable of amazing things.
Now, the one thing is, there is no such thing as all good or all bad.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you heard of Paul Harvey.
Yes.
He had a 1 minute segment on the radio called The Rest of the Story.
Yep. I miss Paul. I loved him.
Right. So I bought about 3 of his books. But interestingly enough, there was one particular story uh, that stayed with me. Okay. There are many, but one of them in particular. Two women went to their respective doctors, asked their opinion about abortion. If the first one would have said yes, this world would have been spared of Adolf Hitler.
Yeah.
However, if the second one would have also said yes, this world would have never known Leonardo da Vinci.
Yeah.
So all of us have the ability to fulfill our role in this world, but it's up to the individual. So that's why I firmly believe that we have to teach the young people to be grounded, to feel that they belong. Because if you don't teach them the right things, that they will always look for something to belong to. And many times they will join the wrong groups, the wrong people.
Yeah.
Okay. Because they are very clever, they are very good. The neo-Nazis are very good in attracting ignorant young people. They make it sound acceptable, they sound wonderful, and not knowing anything, they will join it, and they will be indoctrinated. So, but one of the things is that, in my personal opinion, you have a very interesting story, and they're not too young. I would talk to them about your transformation, okay?
Yep.
Because they will understand, okay, what prompted you, okay, or the person who actually put you on the right path, okay, and why did you want to change? So that is something that by telling them a personal story, and I would also go to schools and talk,
Yeah.
okay. I don't know your schedule, but I would definitely go to schools. And this is very, very important because it's a personal story, it's a personal example, and they can relate to it. And what's the most important thing, it's not only the transformation, but how did it destroy you? When you realize, where you were and where you are today, you can understand how destructive hate is.
And I think that's, for what it's worth, I'm still processing a lot of it. But for me, um, sharing it with my kids has been both a growth exercise for all of us, and it's also brought us together because, um, I think before, earlier from my childhood, I was raised that the parents had it all figured out and they knew everything, and now my kids are realizing that you can have ideas, you can think you know what you know, but you also need to be prepared that if things change, you need to change with it. So it's been an interesting journey. And yes, I think one day I will be sharing more publicly. Um, but for right now, it's
You have to, because you have a fascinating story, and people can learn from you, and you can be a role model for a lot
yeah,
of the young people that are lost.
yeah. And I think that's it's figuring out exactly who I've become as a result of it. And I think I'm still the caterpillar, half in the cocoon, half out. I'm not quite a butterfly yet, but I can see it coming, and I think that's right now I'm just enjoying the journey of transformation
Well,
because
I have a suggestion for you.
I welcome always.
Okay, okay, you don't have to know everything,
Yeah,
but it's starting to speak publicly. Okay, based on the questions that young people have, they're very curious, and they have some very good questions. You will see the transformation in you, and you will become much better. That's what happened is because of the questions that the kids ask me, and I'm constantly evolving. I'm constantly changing.
yeah. And I think that's the wonderful thing. And I'm going to be honest. When I first came on this journey, I was naive and I thought, okay, there's a destination. I get somewhere where I'm finished. And now I realize that every day is just the stepping stone, the start of the journey for tomorrow. And I don't feel the pressure to be anywhere. And it's fun to have this sort of dialogue with my kids because they're at the age where people are telling them what they need to do when they grow up, and I'm like, you're everybody's going to tell you got to have it figured out by the time you start university or by the time you graduate university. You can make it to almost, I'm officially, I think, middle aged. I still don't know what I want to be when I grow up, Sami, and I hope that I never stop growing is the key.
Well, our journey is an unfinished journey.
Yeah.
Okay, and we just grow older, hopefully wiser. Okay, and there is only one constant in this world. People normally say death in taxes.
Yeah.
Okay, the one constant that I really believe in is the only constant is change.
Yeah.
Things change all the time, every single day.
Exactly. And I think, a friend of mine, he's a psychologist, and I'll share this with you because I found it fascinating. He said, it's amazing. Change is the only constant. And he said the second almost constant is how much energy we'll put into resisting that change. We love status quo. And honestly, Sami, you coming into my life has been an amazing gift from so many levels. So now I will wrap up because I want to be mindful of your time.
Yeah.
But I thank you so much for hanging out with me, and I'm going to start promoting this heavily in September. So hopefully we'll get some audience questions as we continue to have these dialogues.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, God bless you. Okay, and I wish you whatever you wish yourself.
Well, thank you, and right back to you, my friend.